Vodafone presents the pre-match.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, as we have only a few more series remaining here in the bracket stage of the round of 76, and we are going to have Solar versus Trust up in the upper bracket of bracket 4 to find out who moves on to the round of 24. Joining me, Rotterdam, we have Todd, we have DeMuslim. Guys, we have a few other games that we're going to be trying to get into now, but I want to talk to you about Solar versus Trust. I'm going to start with you, DeMuslim. Your thoughts about this matchup coming up?
I think Solar's a pretty expected guy to be in the top 4, or at least the qualifying match. Trust, though, on the other hand, losing or taking down Lambo, I think that was a bit of a surprise for me. I didn't know how Trust was going to be coming into this tournament, but he's looking pretty good. But Solar, I think, is the obvious favorite here.
Fair play. Todd?
I got nothing here going right now.
The match, Solar versus Trust.
Yeah, pretty excited for this one. I think, like we mentioned before, both players haven't lost a map yet, and they've looked pretty good. I would definitely favor Solar, but Trust is maybe that guy that you kind of count out, and he just shows up and wrecks people. So we'll see.
He's always a chipper individual, is Solar as well. When you see him bouncing around, doing what he's doing, always happy with a smile on his face. And it would be nice to see him moving to the round of 24.
Yeah, Solar is an incredibly likable guy. I think especially at the home story cups, he always stands out where he does a little bit of everything. Yeah. He's our admin, he's our translator. He's one of our top players in the tournament, always makes deeps run. Solar is a great dude. I'm just like Ben, a little bit surprised to see Trust there. Not because I don't think he's good, but just because we just don't see that much of him. We really don't see him play that often in online tournaments. You don't see him that often in the GSL. Doesn't really make magical deep runs. So if Trust would be able to take out Solar here, to me that would be a massive upset, because that's something I really didn't see coming.
He's hiding strats all year for the real tournament that matters, the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice.
It's understandable. Rotterdam, let's check in with Laptop 3 actually, as we do have Lambo going up against Hellraiser right now.
Yeah, this is a fun match. Obviously, the new teammates. We can go ahead and hop into this Laptop real quick. That would be awesome, because Hellraiser just sniped a very random Roach Warren that was incredibly exposed over here in the middle. This is not an all-in by any means. These zealots will obviously get taken care of. This is lower bracket round 3, by the way, guys. Hellraiser in lower bracket round 1 took out Seoul. In round 2, he took out Denver. Those are two of the very best Europeans. So I'm already pretty damn impressed by Hellraiser. If he's able to cause another upset here and take out Lambo, then I really think we have one hell of a story.
I mean, what else do we expect from Clash players, right? Clash Roddy?
I'm impressed so far by Hellraiser. I mean, this is his first tournament representing his new organization, and I think it's a good run already.
That's why you wanted this specific laptop. It all makes sense now.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how these two clash.
Bye-bye.
In control.
Okay.
Take it away.
Jeff's just shaking his head across the room.
He shouted, "You're fired." So there you go. In control's word is law. I don't know what to do with it. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. I think we're almost ready for this game. Shall I have a walk?
Let's do it. You haven't walked that much.
Shall I go over there?
Make it a special walk.
Yeah. Oh, no. There's no special walks.
Pick up those minerals, James.
No, I did that before. That was only for Port Alexander because the map's weird. Gentlemen, we have Maynard, we have In Control, going to be casting this game for us. What do you make of this qualification match?
One where I would favor Solar. He's the more storied and sort of more of a veteran, I feel. Trust is a name that a lot of people do recognize, but Solar, of course, he's had a lot more done in his career so far versus Trust.
Sure.
So I do favor him, and he's still the strongest from what I've seen.
Jeff, I came over. Give me something special.
No, I appreciate that. No, I think Solar, again, he's, like Roddy kind of said, he's a little bit of a fan favorite, right? He's just a really funny, awesome guy, one of the best interviews you can give. So I think even if you don't necessarily think he's going to win, you kind of pull for him anyways. So, and to be brutally honest, I'm going to do that thing Kevin did earlier. I'm going to bare my heart. I'm going to be very clear.
Okay.
I don't know Trust that well. I haven't seen a whole lot of games out of him. I mean, it's amazing that he's in the winter bracket final here, and he beat Lambo, which is another great Zerg, and he kind of beat him hard. But one of those, you know what? Actually, I'm going to shift my whole analysis. He did build a pylon and warped in 4 DTs. He's my favorite player in the whole world now.
Yeah, that was a good time. That was a good time. I like that you're trying to make this new Rotterdam thing happen, where he doesn't quite know about a player, and that's how it's going to go.
And he still commentates so well. You know what I mean? Like
it's
him and Tasteless. It's just amazing.
That's it. That's it. And with that, thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies out there. It's time to go to the commentary.
All right, let's cast some video games, shall we? I am Maynard. With me is Jeffrey, In Control Robinson. We got ourselves another ZVP. Seems like it's ZVP heaven up in here. The Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. These open brackets, at least.
Yeah, I know. They were trying to kind of make a thing of it, and I do think it's funny. And obviously, we're taking it very lightly, but people are like, "Man, these Terrans aren't qualifying." The entire bracket is all Zerg and Protoss with like 2 Terrans, and that's because all the Terrans already qualified. Like the entire, the other 12, 6 of them were Terrans. So, you know, a couple Terrans being added to that mix means that we're getting closer to 50% of the entire field will be Terrans. So it's fine. We're doing okay. You'll just have to wait a few days to see some of the best players in the world that play Terran clash here.
Yeah, all the like really strong big name Terrans are still in this tournament, to be fair. It's just that they haven't had their broadcast day yet.
They're further ahead.
That's right, they're in there already.
Yeah.
You know, worry about this round of 76 business. And here we go, Solar versus Trust. Moments away from getting thrown down here. Solar, a fan favorite, also a favorite between the commentators, as someone who's just favored in the series. And let's see if we can get another upset here from this man in the bottom left. It is Team Revolution's Trust. And the top right with one of the coolest team names ever. It is Triumphant Songs Solar. Yes, that is his team name.
And like we said, fan favorite for a lot of reasons. I thought another cool thing too is he ends up being a little bit of a kind of father hen of the Korean scene. Like whenever they want to speak out or kind of have their opinions, it is Solar that ends up being kind of a mouthpiece. So it's just cool. It's cool seeing a leadership from a character and someone that's also happens to be an amazing StarCraft player. It's great.
Absolutely. He's been in he's made it to a couple BlizzCons as well in the past, which obviously speaks to how legit this player has been. We're having a probe scout here from Trust, but pretty regular opening from Solar. Just hatch first into gas and pool by the looks of things.
Yeah, and of course, right now, all the rage is that Nidus. It's been very strong. Solar as a player, I would describe him as aggressive. Never I would call him cheesy per se, or like a late game specialist or a mid game specialist. None of that. He kind of does all the things. I would say one of the ways you can kind of typify Solar is that he's just a little bit aggressive, but also sloppy's like has a negative connotation to it. It's not sloppy so much as like chaotic, right? Like there's just a lot of times. Yeah, scrappy's a good way to say it. Yeah, I like that. Where sometimes there's just units all around the map, and there's just kind of a clutter of things happening. And Solar is just at home in that kind of atmosphere. He's a fun player to watch as well.
And usually players like that, when they're up against a player that lacks the sort of play, the clean and macro style, will try and bring them down to their level by making them, play their version of the game, by making it dirty, by making it a little bit scrappy, as mentioned. And that's take him out of his comfort zone. Sometimes get wins where perhaps he shouldn't. But we actually are seeing a really fast third hatchery here from Solar, which is something that pretty much every Korean Zerg's doing at the moment. Before 2 minutes, a third hatchery plopped down there on location.
Yeah, everything you're seeing so far is that cookie cutter element to the ZVP matchup right now. Getting that speed means that it can go, speedlings, could be roaches, there's all-ins that come off of this, there's timing attacks, or there's just complete straight macro play. And I think that's the most ambiguous and best way to play it. And as you pointed out, Maynard, it's going to be Stargate here from Trust, which is, again, good to see. The meta's mixed up a little bit right now. A lot of Protoss running with their tail tucked between their legs a little bit about that Nidus timing attack, but instead, Trust is going to look death in the face and say, nope, I'm still going to go Stargate here, even if it's maybe not as strong as that kind of thing. Yeah, there's been so many Twilight Council openings and Robo openings in PvZ in this tournament. Pretty cool to see some shifts, which I'm sure Blizzard intended with some of the changes that they've made, trying to freshen up the matchups a little bit, which is always their intent. Yeah, and I always feel that we have to wait and see, right? Like, we all know the Nidus is very strong right now, but I think one of the first things a StarCraft player usually does is like, this is really strong, it needs to be nerfed, it needs to be changed. But very often it's just the meta settling too, right? Like what worked before against other things maybe is a lot less good against what then comes up, in this case the Nidus, so we'll have to see if it adjusts. And it certainly is strong, but we've also seen some players really shut it down hard and make it look silly as well, which is interesting. Adept's getting a little bit of damage done, but one is dead already, and another one soon to join her. Not finding too much harassment damage there, so that's actually a very nice defense from Solar to start things off with. Yeah, and importantly, there are not a lot of intel either. They just stayed at the natural. They saw a decent number of saturation, but it's not like they saw no drones at all or anything like that. But they never made their way, up into the main, which is where you would get that critical information. So this Oracle will take a peek first thing. Well, as I say that, Three Queens will deflect it. So it didn't see if there was a layer or not. We, of course, know there's not, which is quite late at this point in time. Solar's having an incredibly clean game so far. The Observer brought up earlier that he's only lost one Ling. That's his first drone loss there to that Oracle. Trust is still obviously trying to get into that drone line. The whole idea of Protoss and even Terran is to slow down the drone explosion of the Zerg. They usually have more workers and more bases than you have as the other races, but
Just one drone kill so far this Oracle. I mean, it is still alive. There is still potential for more damage, but we are seeing a switch here from Trust into the, what looks to be the Archon drop after 2 Oracles. Getting a Queen here is nice, actually. Slows down creep or potential injects.
A little bit too aggressive. It's going to cost him an Oracle. And as nice as that was, losing that Oracle flips it immediately on its head to the bad territory. Not end of the game type of thing, but just bad. Now, we did kind of miss, I believe that was an Overlord scouting in there, seeing the influx of production and seeing what Maynard just described as the beginnings of an Archon drop. I think that's certainly on point with what's coming up here. The lair has been started, so is this Roach Warren, but I do have to say Solar emphasized drone production before all of that, which has been a slight change of flavor from what we've seen from the other Zerg players, which have favored the slightly faster lair. Again, that can be a quick Spire, that can be a tricky Nidus, or it can just be straight macro play. But in this case, Solar is straight up just going to defend this, macro up, and do something afterwards.
Solar is one of those Zergs that if he feels like there's blood in the water, he will just start massing units on a low drone count and just end the game. He's not a believer in making the game go longer if he doesn't have to. We're having I like this from Trust, splitting off 2 pairs of Adepts to the south and to the north, hitting from the north and the south, if you will. And they are just one-shotting these drones down each mineral line. Very nicely done. 6 drone kills.
6 drones for 4 Adepts. Not bad at all.
Yeah, not bad. 7 in the end, but...
And the 2 Archons are going to be morphed here. They are foul. Take a little bit of damage, but nothing to write home about too much just yet. And actually getting... I think that was a creep tumor, but it just got canceled, so it should be okay. Now, with that lair so far, it's just speed roaches, but it's roaches in pretty large numbers. And again, with that front loading of drones, I think Maynard, the wizened, youthful Oracle that he is, kind of saw this coming. Solar sometimes can say, hey, if you give me a reason to, maybe I just hold down that roach key and max out on these sons of guns and just go after you a little bit here, and he could do that.
And that's the power of this build. I mean, yes, the War Prism has these Archons, and yes, they can be microed for days, but if you just have sheer roach numbers, and you commit across the map, and there's not too many Immortals, not too many shield batteries, you can just actually bust your opponent wide open and feast on their insides.
Yeah, the 5 Overlords of Stefano, nobody calls it that, but they should. It's something he used to do. He'd kind of drone up a whole bunch, right, then make like 9 Overlords. And for the longest time, we were like, wow, this is such sloppy macro, only to realize it was just him kind of taking care of the supply so he could just focus on microing those roaches. It's just pure roaches coming out here. I think Solar's got his eyes set on ending this one fairly early.
Good old Stefano, the guy that sort of discovered that big production spike on 3 bases and maxed out faster than any Zerg before him.
Yeah. And
his legacy lives on.
Now, Solar shows up to this 3rd base and sees no saturation. That's a little bit unnerving, or it's good news. We'll have to wait and see which it is, because at that point, it's a quote-unquote fake 3rd base, right? Like, it's not, there's no real intention for it to be a truly functional base, which means that Trust thought he was going to be the aggressor, and he's moving out here and fighting on that creep. There is no observer with this.
I'm a little worried for Trust here.
Shark-infested waters. Yeah, he grabbed the... Oh, he does have an observer. Okay, so he pulls out, like, his knife, and he goes out into the middle of, like, Jaws 2, and he's like, let's just do this, man. I'm out here. Let's fight.
Well, good luck with that. He is down quite a bit of army supply, and there's a lot of Roach Ravager, but, I mean, Solar is fighting up a choke point, and that's exactly what these Archons and these Sentries want. Charge lots on the front line. If Solar could split some of these forces up into 2 pieces and surround this army, this could actually be a really good fight for him at the moment. These force fields quite nice. The charge lots getting right in front of those Roaches and Ravagers. Plenty more where that came from then for Solar. Oh, you know what? Turns out he doesn't need a flank. That's just a lot of Roaches.
No, he's just going to face roll this right
Oh my
now.
God.
There's no insulation whatsoever. The
my God.
might pull out half of this and be like, aha! The 2 Immortals shall live on, but that's it. He's down, closing in on 100 supply. He's going to try some cute micro, but it's just throwing pebbles into a pebble muncher, man.
Pebbles into a pebble muncher.
It's a pebble muncher. I've seen it before.
You know, my father was a pebble muncher. Bring back bad memories.
For that kind of thing, I just think I'd leave it quiet, see where we go.
You just let it hang.
Yeah.
Get it real awkward.
My father was a pebble muncher, and just like nobody says anything, we're all like,
yeah. And then we just wait till he GGs. There we go. Solar winning game number 1.
StarCraft's such a beautiful, funny game, isn't it? But sometimes it's just so silly. Like, Trust, in his mind, dialed up like 5 minutes ago. He's like, I'm going to do this cute Adept stuff, Archon drop, and then I'm going to slam him with some Zealots. Meanwhile, Solar, in his, like, these 2 guys are like facing the corner of the room. He's like, I'm just building roaches, so yeah, come on at me. And literally, Trust attacked into something that he had no business fighting whatsoever. And had he done any kind of like hallucinations or Archon drop into the main, or the Adepts had made their way into the main and seen things like there's no 4th base, there's no evolution chambers or like further tech at all, and start to connect the dots and be like, this guy's coming after me, maybe you can put together a defense. And then the reverse is the reverse of roles, right? Like it's Solar who attacks into the defense and dies.
That's right. In StarCraft, all three races have a defender's advantage generally, you know?
Yeah.
You have bunkers for Terran, siege tanks, high ground, that sort of thing. Shield batteries for Protoss, close rally points and creep for Zerg. And if he sat by a shield batteries at a 3rd nexus with good control and force fields on the high ground, then yeah, he could hold against a 40 or 50 more army supply of Roach Ravager with a prism microing around and all that sort of goodness. But just attacking into a guy that was clearly just about to attack you, it's a bad time, man.
It's a bad time. And it's one of the things that can happen, so I don't want to take it too far. But I guess one kind of final interesting thought to have on this is sometimes one of the ways pro gamers kind of cope with the stresses of traveling great distances and playing really important tournaments is you have builds in your head that you're just basically going to execute. So it's not to say that you like do it no matter what. I don't think that's the case, but sometimes the way you handle this kind of stress is say, no, I'm doing this thing followed by that, and unless I see something wildly to change my mind, I'm going to do that. And, Trust didn't go too far out of his way to try and get that information, but at the same time, he thought he had a good chance to win there, and of course, we knew that wasn't the case.
Yeah, the best players in this game all have a very clear game plan when they get into the game. So if you're like being indecisive and flipping, flopping around, the other player is just going to crush you, especially at this level. And this room is full of players at that level.
It is. I was just thinking that. It's like looking down on these great players playing, trying to determine their futures here a little bit. Solar 1 game away from qualifying. And it's such a big deal, by the way. We saw how big of a deal that was, right? Like Hurricane loses in the upper qualifying match, drops down, gets to the lower qualifying match, but even from there, Gumio actually completes the revenge and is able to advance beyond him. And then you have, you beat like 3 GSL competitors, but just didn't get there. So all people will talk about for the next year is how you didn't get to group stage at Katowice. Yeah. It's crazy. Which is, like each of these brackets is like winning a GSL group. It's something that's pretty hard to do.
You're not wrong. I mean, the thing about this tournament is that it always is so very stacked. It's so weird to me when people ask questions during the week leading up to IEM. They're like, oh, is TLO is going to be there? Is Scarlet going to be there? I'm like, if they're good at StarCraft, they will be here. This is the tournament that everyone goes to. They're not like, oh, I'm going to ladder this weekend instead. No, absolutely not. They're going to be here because there's hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line. Yeah. And a lot of these players have got a good shot at getting a good chunk of it.
Yeah, it's the who's who of StarCraft. So waiting to get this lobby launched here. I think one of the players needed a couple of moments. Again, a lot of nerves here, but we're getting some cool shots of that room where these guys are all battling it out. I want to give another shout out here. We're about 10 seconds away, by the way, from starting the game, so we're just a few moments away. But again, shout out to our observers. We've got some wonderful ones here. Coca, Mapu, and Indy bringing you guys this awesome action. We've got Apollo of YouTube fame kind of back in the day, descending upon us and producing this the show. Just great people.
You might remember him from DreamHacks back in 2011.
Yep. So part of the Good Studio where he silently sat in each of the podcasts and just kind of rode the coattails on his way to success.
Yeah, and congratulations to him. He's got a very successful career thanks to all those decisions made in time. Yep. On the far right here of Automaton, currently up in the series, it is Triumphant Song Solar.
A Chinese team, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
The Heroes on that team as well.
Oh, okay.
And on the far left, it's Team Revolution's Trust. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of slack on those earbuds.
Nope.
I wouldn't be able to play like that. But I don't really play that well anyway, so.
Yeah.
Arguments could be made that I don't play anyway.
Those who can't play at this level commentate or observe.
100% true.
Yeah. Well, hey, Trust executed fairly well. Again, it's kind of an interesting scenario, right? We've been kind of fortunate enough to watch some really great best of threes going down to that game 3 and just very nice back and forth action. But Trust got caught a little bit tunnel vision. But this next game, it's going to dip into a little bit of a bag of tricks. A pylon at that time means a second gateway, which is not common in the PvZ matchup right now.
This is something that Protoss like to do against Terran. Sending a Zealot across the map at a couple Stalkers and then just trying to, punish them for a low ground expansion. I can see it working against a hatchery first, though. Just getting across the map and forcing a cancel or getting a lot of damage done on it. Actually, it would be done by the time the attack hits, right? So you could actually do a fair bit of damage.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we're in completely uncharted territory. I don't think I've ever seen.
This is not common.
I'm not saying this is the first time it's done. Someone's going, all within a week. It's like, fine, okay. I haven't seen it personally. My concern, I mean, geez Louise, I think Solar's about to scout this actually with his Overlord. But on top of that, Speedling opening against this is just so darn good. It shuts down that gateway. I feel like it shuts down anything that comes off of it. And then it actually threatens to win the game, because unless you plug up that hole there below the cybernetics core, which can get expensive when you have your second gateway out on the map, you're in danger of getting overran.
Damn, it's going to be an adept out of that gateway there at the front lines, and he's expanding behind it. So it's actually, you know, pressure, but a proxy that's going to get cleaned up very soon. Yeah. Which is weird, because this Stalker's, I don't think this Stalker's going across the map.
No, I guess the Stalker would try to hunt the Overlord, but the Overlord's already making its way to that safe high ground there. And, I mean, maybe part of this, well, no, it's another adept coming out from that gateway, but I guess what I was going to say is part of this could, too, be that now that it's scouted, Trust de-emphasizes it, and whatever he was going to do stops to be a possibility, but nope, there's a Chrono Boost.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know, if this doesn't do damage and you can't keep the Zerg pinned back, you lose a gateway and a pylon, and that's not only production, that's supply potentially as well. Yeah. So that's, you know, not a great loss for Trust, so he better start putting some kills on the board here. Getting some Lings, shading into the main base.
And that is where he'll find himself. Nice position there. Not a whole lot of Lings. The speed hasn't finished yet, so this is already pretty cool. I'm liking this. It's forcing out Lings, but then it's killing the Lings, as long as he doesn't lose these Adepts. Okay, so they actually should both die here for one drone kill and some Lings. Actually, 3, excuse me.
Yeah. I still don't know if it's worth it here for Trust. I mean, yeah, Solar is making early Lings, and he's not making that many drones. His third base also is being slowed down. It's 3.5 minutes, no third hatchery yet. But it's kind of, you know, the math's up there. You guys at home, you can crunch those numbers and figure it out. Jeff would crunch the numbers, but he only does it when he's not in the middle of a cast.
Right. I need time. I need all of my available resources to crunch those kind of numbers. It is interesting, though. I think to Maynard's point, which I fully agree with, it's at least questionable, right? Like, I think the reason I like that kind of stuff from Trust is he's down 0-1, and he's the one that's going to mix it up a little bit and get kind of weird.
Yeah, I like
Solar handled this really well, but there is a chance, too, that Solar's like, oh my god, I got to do a Speedling, you know, bust. Like, maybe I just win right off of that, and then loses the game from there. So, yes, this got shut down. It's questionable as to whether or not it was worth it, but I still like it conceptually.
Well, as the dust settles, he's got a similar work account to the Zerg. Like I mentioned, he's slowed down the third base, and while his proxy does get cleaned up, it's not like he's supply blocked or anything. He has another, you know, a good bit of supply to work with at the moment. His Stargate's a little bit late, but it's on the, second Stargate rather, is on the way, so it's not late at all. He's got an Oracle heading across the map.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind it now that I think about it.
No, the one thing I will say here, and one of the things I learned from listening to a lot of Rotterdam streaming, for instance, is that if you're equal-ish drone count at about this time of the game, it's quite bad for the Protoss, because with Chrono Boost, you should probably be several probes ahead. That being said, to your point, it's not like it's the end of the world, okay? The one problem I have, though, is that with that second Stargate, Solar's been very diligent about scouting around, and he sees this Stargate still active, and there's already a Phoenix out. So the one Phoenix hunts down the Overlords and kind of acts as a fake, too, at the same time. It's like, hey, it's just the one Phoenix, it's totally normal. Did he do that, actually? No, I guess it's just the Oracle out there. Maybe he hid the Phoenix. Well, anyways, the Stargate's being spotted. It's been seen showing production. So the second Stargate might be a little bit shocking, but for Solar, he faces 2 Stargates all the time. It's kind of normal.
Yeah, I mean, the Hydra Den is definitely a good start for defending against that, having Spore Crawlers, of course, but you can see the whole plan here of Trust is just hide a big clump of Phoenixes, then go, hey, surprise, and then just eliminate an entire drone line and pick off whatever he can. He's getting an Adept surrounded here by the Lings and taken down. That's actually a nice pick off there for Solar as he just gets those Lings out of dodge. And these Phoenixes decide the time is now. Across the map they go, but they flew over a Zergling on their way through. Solar does know that they're coming, but is he prepared enough?
Well, so far it's fairly minimalist, right? Like, as you pointed out, the Hydra Den's pretty early, but there's not a whole lot of Queens. There's not several Spore Crawlers, so it's fairly, it's kind of the poor man's defense, if you will.
Yeah, 1 Spore, a couple Queens at this natural. This Spore's not quite done yet. He's finding drone kills and he's keeping all the Phoenixes alive, and that's the way to do it. Solar is sort of poking at the front, sort of stress testing it. It's still pretty, it's locked down pretty tight. He can't get in there.
I'm liking this for Trust as we go on. It looked like a little bit too much of an under-emphasized defense. It felt like it was like a single Stargate defense, which I don't know that I see a whole lot of Protoss Chrono boosting out Phoenix off of 1 Stargate these days. So it kind of seems like it was a mistake.
Getting these drone kills really stacking up now. 10 drone kills, even a queen kill. Some Hydralisks in the middle line as well have died. So these Phoenixes would be pretty nice for Trust. Yes, he just lost one, but I still think it's quite good. Solar going into the ye old Ling Bane Hydra, which is quite strong against a Gateway Phoenix army.
Yep.
But you got to get there, and Trust is still keeping him pinned back.
Yeah, and he's going to add more Spore Callers here after having lost those drones that you pointed out, Maynard, now losing Overlords.
Ouch.
I don't think he has an Evo chamber behind this. I'm not seeing any upgrades.
I think he might have gotten one, but not using it just yet.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, looks a little Evo chamberless.
And he's, I mean, I got to be honest with you, he's like, there's no fourth taking shape. I think he's just going to try a timing attack, but he's actually, this is like the kind of timing attack where it's like, I attack and if I win, great. If I don't, I actually leave the game.
Yes.
I mean, it's Katowice, so maybe not, but that's how desperate this is starting to look from Solar.
I mean, he's on 47 drones right now, which is a devastating economy at this point of the game against a Protoss who's got a third Nexus.
Yeah.
Like, this is, I think you're right. He has to just basically mass whatever units he thinks will get the job done and go for it and hope for the best. Control it as well as he can. Hydra's obviously pretty fantastic. See that Muscular Augments is coming down to make sure that they have that speed to be able to attack across the map as quickly as possible.
And I feel like Trust is doing everything too, right? Like he shows up to these mineral lines, he sees lack of saturation, he goes to the fourth base spot, sees no fourth, and he says, well, yeah, I mean, he's gonna attack me, that's it. He's either attacked me or he just gave up on life, like it's just over. But that attack will come, and Trust is trying to get out Colossus, which is a little bit ambitious, especially since it won't have range. So Solar's got a moment here. Solar's got a chance to just end it.
Certainly does. Well, grabbing some of these Banelings would be nice, actually, but he's gonna pull those Phoenixes back. The Hydras obviously are the hugest threat.
Is it just 2 sentries?
Two sentries are on the ground. What is he? Yeah, his ground army is 4 Zealots, 4 Stalkers, and 13 Phoenixes. Solar actually might be able to get this done.
Yeah, okay, so the Colossus comes out. There's the army. The Banelings are going to connect with this, though. Hydra's just kind of getting that concave out there. Now, remember, the Colossus do not have range.
Yeah, these force fields need to happen here. This Colossus taking a lot of damage. Ooh, Colossus is surprisingly squishy. The Baneling's actually not getting that much probe damage done here. They're connecting with some of the gateway units as they come on through, getting warped in. Ling's coming in for the right-hand side and reinforcing this attack. Nicely micro. Colossus here from Trust, keeping it out of harm's way and taking down those Hydralisks. And there goes the army of Solar.
Yeah, just not enough.
GG.
He's going to actually tap out. It's exactly like I said.
You called it, Jeff.
Give it the attack. Didn't work. Okay, let's get to the next one. And really what happened here is honestly, the Phoenix caught Solar off guard. So I think that's a, you know, not to be too critical, but again, what else do you think is happening there? You had Lings looking at the front of the base. He sees the Stargate still producing. He's not seeing Phoenix around the map, so I don't know. And one of the tough things, too, for me, Maynard, is early Hydra is actually kind of bad against a good Stargate player because the individual, like Hydras, if they get picked up and you're never able to get that big clump going, I feel like you're always chasing. You're all of a sudden making Spore Callers in response. You're trying to defend that way.
Yeah, it's really, really rough. I mean, I see those PVZs on Roddy's stream all the time where Zerg is desperately trying to get a bowl of Hydras out and he just grabs 4 or 5 of them as they come out of a hatchery and kills them all instantly.
Yeah.
The Phoenixes do bonus damage to light units, and Hydras are pretty light units, so down they go.
The difference is, though, that's like a mid to low GM, you know, kind of demuslim Zerg level of PVZ area, whereas this is Solar we're talking about, one of the best Zergs on the planet, you know what I mean? Like the idea to see this kind of tomfoolery work against him is just ridiculous.
We may or may not be getting the bird from Rotterdam off camera. Specifically, Jeff's getting it. I don't know why you do that to me.
Well, you're in the way, so it is you that's getting it as well.
I'm your meat shield.
Yeah.
I'm your charge lot wall for this bird being flipped.
Exactly right.
But we are ready for map number 3, guys. Countdown has ended. It's going to be Kairos Junction as the final battlefield between Solar and Trust. 2 great players from the Korean region, 1 big name player, and 1 player looking to put his name on the board.
2 great players not having the best finale here. I will say, like, Trust with a really bad attack into lose, Solar with a bad read into attack into lose. So both players, the attacker has lost. Will it be the defense that'll win this last game?
Let's see. In the top left here from Team Revolution, the Protoss player, it is Trust. And the bottom right from Triumphant Song Gaming, it is Solar.
I think I always want Ruby to be a part of every broadcast, but I feel...
Me too.
I have this like weird PTSD now where if a player's name is too easy to be punned, I'm actually like silently so thankful that he's not there. Like him commentating Trust would be, I mean, we're talking about 6 dad jokes and like 70 puns
He'd
in
say
a single
something.
broadcast.
He'd say something about solar energy or something, trust issues, and I mean, it would just be... It
would be tough.
It'd be a deep dive into dad joke territory, one that we're not prepared for here.
No. Never prepared for that. Probe's gonna show up. Sees a hatch first, that's okay.
Yeah, it's all regular stuff. Once again, you know, each game apart from Gamescom 2, I guess, was the proxy gateway, now that I think about it, has been pretty stock standard to start things off with.
Yeah. Fairly normal stuff. And it has been kind of what you and I talked about too. Solar very aggressive, decisive even. If he sees blood in the water, he'll go for it.
Yeah, it's just like the time is now. Lava and drones is going to be a waste of resources. Let's get ourselves a bunch of units out. Fair enough.
Hey man, if it gets you to the winner's bracket final of a IEM Katowice kind of opening rounds, it's not bad.
And Solar's actually got a pretty rich history with this tournament as well. Usually making it at least to the group stages and having some pretty amazing games and pretty amazing results up there. See if he can do it again. 2 years in a row.
Yeah. Looked good in game 1. Game 2, not so much. Solar going to go ahead and start saturating up that natural. Behind this, he is taking some gas. There's the first 100 gas, immediately speed. Third hatch queued up. So like Maynard was saying, kind of normal stuff from there. It is going to be, again, Stargate from Trust. This time, of course, not a part of the Wallen, as this map doesn't super allow for that. But also, Trust all 3 games going for that Stargate. Now, that's okay. It's one of those kind of things where it's not like you can predict Stargate and then hard mega counter it, and that's just the death of them. It's a little bit more of a... Everyone does this kind of thing.
I'm a pretty big fan of Showtime, and I sat here at this tournament casting him yesterday going, you know what, if Showtime's still opening with Stargate at death, then it's relevant.
Yeah. And he is a good barometer for that, right, too? Like, he's not a wild one. He's very, very good, like you said, but he's also going to, like, do what the meta says.
He's Mr. Safe, Mr. Standard. Yeah. He's the good boy of the StarCraft community. If I had a daughter, he would absolutely be on top of my list as someone that I hope she comes home with.
At least on top of the list, right? Amongst others.
On top of something.
Yeah, exactly. You want to bring Showtime home and show to the parents that this is what you have decided on.
Yeah. Fingers crossed for my future daughter.
Yeah.
These Lings actually getting a little bit of probe damage done here. Generally, they're just for scouting, but getting some probe damage is always a cherry on top of the pie.
They're getting the full scout, and like you said, they're getting a kill too. Not bad. It is going to be a Phoenix first there, then Oracle, and then again, that's the more normal stuff. Hopefully, Trust kind of returns to the more normal stuff because I think that's what he's better at. And Solar, we didn't really talk about this. He's a very, very good Zerg, one of the best in the world, but a little bit streaky, right? Like he can beat a lot of players in a row, but he can also have some kind of failings. And I think that's because he's so aggressive. You live and die by that sword.
Wrong neighborhood, mate.
There you go. Cornered.
Caught him after curfew. Wrong part of town. Down they go.
And there's the next Stargate again.
All right. Well, hey, it worked out for him game 2. Maybe you can bamboozle Solar again, but I gotta say, when something like that happens to you in a series, you generally don't let it happen again.
Gosh, you would really hope so, right?
You would hope so.
Ugh. I think part of the reason why you can kind of safely return to this is a different look. So the second Stargate's in the main. We just saw this scouting Overlord die. And I have to say, it oh my god, no. No way!
That Ling.
How do you let that happen?
007 and 006 managing to find their way into this main base, seeing absolutely
Trevelyan?
everything. Yeah, Trevelyan and James Bond. Back when they lacked each other. So at the beginning of GoldenEye, not the end.
Oh,
obviously.
they did so many missions together. They were fantastic.
They were.
They even met Natalia Romanov together. Anyways, here's the bad news. Like, A, it gets scouted, but B, Trust is just going to say, like, it's finished. I'm going with it. But man, Maynard just a moment ago was like, hey, if it's already happening in this series, you can't let it happen again. Well, heck no if it gets scouted, for Pete's sake. So it should be about 2 Spore Crawlers per mineral line. You make extra queens. And then the world's your oyster. You can go up to a 4th base if you like. You can double down on upgrades. Obviously, you eventually get Hydras out, otherwise you can never move, but you just shouldn't take much economic damage after scouting it.
Yeah, and he is getting drone damage here. It's not really a question of whether or not the Phoenixes will do damage, because they will do damage. It's just mitigating how much. Last game, he lost dozens of drones, or at least a dozen drones to the Phoenixes, and then lost a whole bunch of units and queens in production as well. This game, so far, just 2 drone kills, and like you mentioned, he's just continuing to build queens from hatcheries. He's got the spore count he wants, and as long as he continues to build queens, then these Phoenixes will generally get shut down for the most part.
Yeah.
And that also opens up the possibility of using those queens to make a Nidus Worm.
Oh, man.
Oh, right in the middle of my sentence. You use queen counts to make that Nidus Worm a huge threat here. Ooh, just out of vision there for Trust.
Yeah, it kind of depends on his instincts here. So I'm looking up at that production tab because he sees so many queens bunched up together like that. Yes, they're probably moving around to block the Phoenix from doing damage, but also there's the chance they're about to jump into a biological underground railway, if you will. Could call it something else, I suppose, but let's just, you know.
I like calling it the worm from down under. It's good for my Australian branding.
Under.
Yeah.
This is tough. Yeah, I mean, what DPS is there even to stop this? So I think he sees it. What are you going to do? What do you got?
You can't lift it, mate.
Sentry's coming over here? Forget about it.
Good
There's
luck.
no DPS
Good
there.
luck lifting the 50 queens that are going to pop out of this worm.
I think that's it.
I think so.
This was a terrible series. I mean, I'm just going to say it. Like, there's so much good StarCraft coming that I can comfortably say that knowing we'll have better. But, man, Trust. 2 Lings make it in. They see the tech, and he says, you know what? Phoenix are good, right, Roddy? And Roddy's like, yeah. Well, you're wrong.
GG.
See you in the lower bracket, nerd. All right, Solar on his way to the top 24. And it was the first successful attack in this series, too, by the way. It's like... Devin still,
he's a little upset.
I'm soccer fan.
Honestly, I'm looking forward to the desk after this cast. Yeah. But yeah, Solar, repeat group stage appearances for him year to year, back to back. Great for him and his fan base, of which he has plenty. Looking forward to his interview with Smix, which I'm sure will be coming up in a second. And actually, it'll be coming up right now.
Just do it now. Yeah,
let's just do it now.
Why not?
All right, guys, we'll see you in a second with an interview with Smix and Solar.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2019. We saw Stats was the first player to move on from bracket number 4, and now Solar is moving on to join him. So first of all, congratulations, Solar. Not only are you moving on to the group stage, this is actually your 3rd year in a row to do so, which is very impressive, especially considering I feel like Katowice is always so difficult. What are you feeling right now?
Yeah, this time Katowice was real difficult for me. Also, here are so many good players to come here. Also, I was a little bit nervous. But I'm happy with my Lizard because I make it through in 3 years in a row. So, yeah, I'm happy with my Lizard now.
I wanted to ask about the series against Trust because Trust is a Protoss player that does not play standard at all. So, as you were preparing, was it a little bit difficult to anticipate what he was going to do?
But yeah, he's very hard to play against. But I knew his style, so it's better. So I knew what was he going to do in every games. So that's why I can win against him. Yeah.
I could tell that you got frustrated with losing game number 2. Can you talk about what you felt went wrong?
Because I thought when I saw the proxy gateway, I thought it was 4 gateway mass jello rush, so I canceled started and I went to wrong build, so that's why I lose. Final series against Trust wasn't 100% conditions for me, so it was a little bit disappointed, but yeah, I make it, so it's fine now.
Well, I know you just mentioned Katowice. There's so many good players here. In the round of 24, there's even better players over there. So who really stands out to you?
I think strongest player in this tournament, I think, is Rogue, because his currently form is really, really good. So others are fine, but I'm really afraid of Rogue. Yeah.
So as long as you avoid Rogue, are you comfortable with everybody else?
Yeah, but I don't like CBCs, so I don't want to face some sort of master. So.
Okay, so maybe not Group C.
Yeah, Group C is terrible for me.
I think a lot of players would agree with you. Group C is not a favorite by any means. Well, it was a pleasure to speak with you, Solar. Best of luck in that group stage. Claris, let's head back to you.
Thank you very much, Mick. It's a great story seeing Solar being able to advance through into the round of 24. But I think the bigger story is the assault on the character of Rotterdam in that previous series. What was going on? Do you have a mic? If you would like to.
I've got nothing to say, you know. I just don't want to sink to this kind of level of insults, James. I'm deeply hurt, but I'm not going to show it on stream. I'll carry on. And I'll talk about some PvZ if you want me to.
That's absolutely fine as well. And actually, I think you did have Hellraiser versus Lambo going on before, right?
Yeah, all jokes aside, I did keep a close eye on it. I'm going to lie if I say it wasn't the best Zerg versus Protoss series I've ever seen. Game 1, I felt like it started all right for Hellraiser. We saw he sniped that Roach one, right? That's kind of when we tapped out. Sure, he lost a couple Zealots. Eventually, he got your regular Protoss army, Archon, Zealot, Immortal. I'm like, I wonder where this goes. It's like, bam, 18 Banelings, everything disappeared. And that was it, like a 9-minute game. Game 2, I paused the replay somewhere close towards the end just to show you guys that you really didn't miss that much. Let's go ahead and hop into this game real quick and you guys can see the ending of Hellraiser versus Lambo, where Lambo gave Hellraiser, I would say, a very warm welcome to Clash. So this game, at this point, just to show you guys, units lost, really not much happened. He pulled a Roddy, sent out 2 adepts, lost them, didn't really kill anything. I mean, once again.
Well, he killed 2 drones at least.
Yeah, okay. So this is basically the first real harassment of the game. It's safe to say that this doesn't really work out. There were Zealots at home. Roaches at home, so these Zealots are kind of just running into Roaches. Yeah, they get a couple links, they pick up a Queen, but is that worth 8-9 Zealots?
If the 2 adepts were the Roddy, that was the Todd Warpin right there.
So no, okay, at this point, units lost 9 Zealots for this. This is not really where you wanted to go. But you look at the supplies, man. Lambo has been playing a pretty freaking crazy game. He's at 175 supply, and he's kind of playing a little bit like the way that Solar likes to play this matchup as well. This is something that Solar did quite some time in Korea. It's just Roaches, Lynx, a bunch of Banelings, and a couple of Ravages. If you look at Hellraiser's vision, right? Hellraiser's like, you know, this could be Midas, this could be anything. I'm getting Storm.
Could be a long game.
Yeah, this could be a long game. Could be a short game. It could be somewhere in the middle. What he did not expect is this game to end in the next 10 seconds. So Storm is halfway done. There's 3 Templars here. Banelings roll forward. And suddenly it's like, surprise, surprise, 180 supply of roaches. It's like, well, I can try to micro my Immortal, but that's it. I still think Hellraiser had a really good run. I mean, taking out Denver and Seoul, I think that's very impressive.
Yeah.
But Lambo's like, hey man, welcome to Clash, but I'm the captain here, so that was it.
So you've got the Roddy Adepts, you've got the Todd Warpin. Ben, do you have like a Demuslim drop?
That was the Demuslim all-in, the Zerg.
That was
the Zerg.
My mid-GM level Zerg, you know. Similar to Rotterdam's level.
Well played. I like it a lot. But boys, looking at that overall, though, Solar advancing through into the round of 24. It's a good name to have there in the group stage, right?
Yeah. He was one of the favourites in that bracket for sure. Going up against Trust was a bit of a surprise. I really thought Lambo would be a guy going up there, but we do have a cracker of a next match with Lambo and Impact. Yes, yes. Also, Elazer. We got to see Elazer against Cass. He took him down really swiftly.
Yep.
Now it's going to be DNS versus Elazer in an elimination match too, so that's quite exciting for the European scene.
And the winner of that goes up against Trust. Todd, looking at our remaining names down there as we take a look at the bracket here, as you can already see that Stats and Solar have advanced on in the top side of the bracket. And we have about 5 names left, Todd, in the lower bracket, it being Trust, Elazer, DNS, Impact, and Lambo.
Yeah, and only one of them makes it. That's crazy that we're going to lose this quality of players here yet again. If you have to pick one favorite, I guess Impact perhaps, but it feels like any of these guys.
No trust in Trust? No?
I mean, Elazer or DNS definitely will give a good game to Trust, and then whoever, honestly, any of these 5 at least.
I mean, we often talk about how well foreigners do if they are having hot runs. I think it's also worth bringing up that so far they didn't do that well. Of course, a couple of the very best are already qualified into the round of 24. That's when we see our Uthermal, Serral, of course, Neep and stuff as well. But so far, yesterday we saw Scarlet qualify, and that was obviously awesome, and Scarlet looked incredibly good doing so. But in the first bracket today as well, and even in this bracket, things are not looking too hot. So for the foreigner scene, for the European scene, you kind of hope that maybe an Elazer or a Lambo can sneak in there.
I think it's fair to say it seems like Korea has turned up more this open brackets than 2018's open brackets, where you had some of those big names being eliminated. Now they're really full force.
It's a bit of a cliche when people say like, oh, the Koreans will finally take the foreigners serious right now, but maybe 2018 Katowice was already a little bit of a wake-up call, where we did see plenty of upsets in the open bracket, and then of course with Serral in the end just dominating the rest of the year. It's like, okay, you know, there is no time to mess around. This is not the moment to hide strategies, because if you lose in this phase in the tournament, you're out. But so far, the Koreans have been playing incredibly well.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time for a break. And when we return, we're going to have our Zerg versus Zerg, Lambo versus Impact to find out who moves into that final qualifying match here for the round of 24.